A few hours after Remiker made his fourth fault, commented Ibser sent AIG a subpoena demanding documents relating to the destruction. That evening, the New York Attorney General happened to be the dinner speaker at a Goldman Sachs event. Remiker should be very careful talking about food faults, he said. Too many food faults and you can lose the match. But more important, those aren't food faults. Not surprisingly, the board was fast losing fight in Remiker even before the expenses subpoena. The independent directors had heard Richard Bentley. I heard Price Lower with Simpson, Trencher, and Bartlett, who was well known for administering boards faced with difficult situations. Bentley had several dinners with Remiker, hoping to persuade him to retire, and at one point, right around the time of the earnings announcement, Remiker had agreed to step down, but the next day they told between but he had changed his mind once the Spitzer subpoena arrived. A special committee of directors began an international investigation. AG accounting firms, PricewaterhouseCoopers, was brought into come through the company's books. They were finding problems everywhere. Recalls affirmed AIG executives. It turned out that certain aspects of derivatives accounting were incorrect. Some reinsurance transactions had to be unwound deals that will get right up to the line, which PwC had once walked, were now rolled out of bounds. And there was another problem. The company had promised to cooperate with Spencer and they wanted to deposit Remiker. The board wanted to know whether Remiker was going to play the 50 amendment. Remiker said he wasn't sure. How could his CEO take the 50 and keep his job? The climatic board's meeting took place in March 12, 2005. It lasted all day, with the directors discussing among themselves whether to fire Remiker and Remiker calling in from his boat and his aeroplane, arguing that he should keep his job. He had an old way of going about his thought. You people don't know what you're doing. He berated them. You don't even know how to spell insurance. Toward the end of the meeting, the accounts from PwC told Hibbard that it would no longer vouch for the firm's book. It Remiker stayed at sea, and that Remiker was allowed to stay on chairman of the board. Thought that our arrangement wouldn't last long either. His replacement as CEO was a blind-age lifer named Martin Sullivan, who had spent his entire career on the insurance side of AIG. Although Sullivan had a tremendous amount of insurance experience because of the way Remiker ran the companies. He knew very little about IGFP. Immediately after Remiker's departure, the rating agencies dropped AIG ratings to AA. Over the next few months, the intensity level inside the company was almost unbearable as every subsidiary was turned inside out by swarms of accounts. It was like a war zone, says a former executive. In July, AIG announced its restatement. The company would reduce its earnings by $4 billion, converting the previous 5 years into 5 years. AIG had reported around $40 billion in profits. The new numbers lowered AIG profits by 10%. In other words, AIG didn't really have to play games. $36 billion in profits could still have earned him plenty of respect. It's just that Gremaker would have been seen as a mere mortal instead of the great good of insurers, allowing Caraguan, a Wall Street analyst who had followed AIG for years, wrote several siren reports each week. And Gremaker resignation, one in particular stands out after taking a close look and deferring life on it, the same subsidiary that was always said to be one of the group jewels. He concluded that there were significant gaps between Saturning earnings reporting in Thinking and our summation of statutory account principal earnings for the operating entities. In other words, three as he might, he could not make the earnings that AIG had reported for freeing life out of.